So you staying for the next workshop?
Still trying to decide between this one and one Larry Pageant's doing in the Roosevelt room.
Well, you got about 20 minutes to decide.
Gentlemen,
Angie.
what did you think of this last workshop?
Interesting.
Way too much info, way too much.
Hey, Craig.
Hey.
Stan.
Hey.
I didn't think you were gonna make it.
Oh, I didn't either. But it's getting so hard to get away from the plant these days. It's wearing two hats is wearing me out.
What two hats?
With all the cutbacks, senior management decided to make me human resources director when the last one left.
So you're safety director and human resources director?
Yep.
Oh, that bites.
Well, it's a lot of extra work, but at least I'm learning lots of new job skills.
And that can't hurt in this economy.
So what's it like being the HR director?
So far, it's a lot of paperwork.
Work?
No, my wife. You met her, remember? She's an engineer at Martin Neely Construction.
Oh, yeah.
She's having a lot of trouble with their boss, but lately it's been worse than usual. Last week he didn't invite Leslie to an important meeting. Then he called her stupid in front of her coworkers for not knowing about a new project he introduced in the meeting.
What a jerk.
He gives everyone these ridiculous deadlines and then screams when they don't make them.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? That's my main motivational strategy.
You haven't heard everything. Today, my wife was talking to a friend about how her brother's converting to Islam. Well, her boss must have been listening because he walks over and starts saying that the only reason black people become Muslims is basically to join a black supremacy group and that they're not real Muslims. Then he started going on a rant about how the Baptist faith is really a cult and that he wouldn't trust a Baptist to be a project leader because they can't think for themselves.
Well, I don't get it. What's he got against Baptists?
He just picked that faith because he knows Leslie is Baptist. He kicked her off her project once because she couldn't come into work one Sunday morning when she was scheduled to help give communion at our church. Didn't matter that she came in every other Sunday that month. But it's not just her. He offends everyone at the office somehow or another.
Sounds like he should keep his opinions to himself.
But that's just it. Upper management writes it off as being opinionated. I think he's a bully.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be hostile environment harassment.
Hostile what?
Hostile environment harassment. See, I've had to read up about this stuff. There are two types of harassment. There's quid pro quo and there's hostile environment. And quid pro quo is basically when someone in power, a boss or a supervisor, offers a promotion or something work-related in return for sexual favors, or threatens a negative work-related action if someone refuses to give sexual favors.
Okay, wait a minute. So if my boss says, sleep with me or I'm transferring you to the podunk plant, that's quad pro cop harassment?
Quid pro quo.
Okay.
And yes, the courts would see that as tangible employment action. Those are things like being promoted or demoted, hired, fired. And your company would probably spend a lot of time and money defending against that lawsuit.
Does that kind of harassment really happen anymore? I mean, it sounds so 70s.
I know that it still happens because it happened to me.
Seriously?
Seriously. About 5 years ago, my boss thought he was doing me a favor, a promotion in exchange for a little extra effort. He couldn't believe that I wasn't flattered when he'd singled me out.
Ugh, creepy. So, what about this hostile environment thing?
Oh, well, hostile environment harassment is often a lot more subtle and can be a lot harder to identify than quid pro quo. But it's a lot more common in the workplace these days.
So if it's harder to identify, how would someone identify it?
Hostile environment harassment happens when a worker is made to feel really uncomfortable or disrespected or threatened. I mean, over and over again to the point where they have a hard time focusing on their work.
That sounds like my wife and everyone in her department.
Well, now, the tricky thing is that harassment has to be based on a protected category.
Well, slow down, Stan. Now you're talking HR speak.
Well, what I mean is that there are laws that protect certain categories of people from being harassed or discriminated against.
Yes, like Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. I had to do a report on that in college. It prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin.
I think I see what you mean. Aren't there laws also that say you can't discriminate based on age or disability, too?
Yep. And there are other federal and state laws. I mean, several states are considering anti-bullying laws for workers.